I'm Brian V, and this is Why We Work. Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking with Peter Galanko. Peter is an interesting young man. He has many roles, many titles. He's a sales representative for PPE equipment through all-plast Incorporated. He's a blockchain entrepreneur. He's the CEO of Cryptocurrency Mining LLC. He's a domainer. Peter is basically the influencer of influencers. I have some questions for him today because there's a driving force within this young man that had him start these things at a very young age. And while still being young, he's still motivated to keep on going, to wear these many hats, to keep working. Join me in my conversation today with Peter Galanko. I'm Brian V, and this is Why We Work. Today, my guest is the one and only Peter Galanko. Good morning, fine sir. I guess it would be your evening for you.
Yep, evening over here. Good afternoon to you, I suppose.
Yeah, we're getting close. It's 10 a.m. I just dropped one of my children off at school. It's just the
You're all the way out in South Korea, right?
all the way here in South Korea. Yeah, I'm an English professor out here at a local university, and but I'm from Canada, and I've seen you on the Base Guy show. I've followed you on LinkedIn, and I see that you're a pretty busy guy. Would you like to give us a little? I'm giving you an intro before we start this, but just a little bit about yourself. But I think you also want to say something as well.
Oh yeah. Well, a little bit about myself. I have a background in technology, mostly marketing related, online marketing, and I've been highly involved for the past uh, since 2015, but more so since 2017 with cryptocurrency and blockchain technology in that field. But I've been have entrepreneurial online marketing type of pursuits that I've done since the age of 15 or younger on the internet. And so that's a little bit about me. And about you, though, I was, for the people that are just tuning in for the first time, I like to hear, I know that you just interviewed Dylan Addict or Dylan Tack recently, and you had Frankie on months ago, who I have many bobbleheads of him in my room here. But you've also interviewed many CEOs and founders and a lot of interesting people. And I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about your show and the people that you've had on, name some episodes. Maybe some of the people watching now can go back and watch those as well.
I appreciate the
After watching
question.
this.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. You're the first person to ask me that, and it's quite interesting because I mean, a quick rundown. My mom passed away in February of cancer, and she was a
Sorry
hard
to hear
worker.
that.
She was a very hard worker. Thank you. And it just I had that question of why. Why do people work so hard all the way, to her deathbed? She was trying to pull herself up, saying, I got to go to work. And it kind of, it
Yeah.
inspired me because I didn't know why. And a few months later, in August of this year, I started the podcast. And I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but it's defined itself into workers because I find you need, even from your perspective of starting work at such a young age to people into the retirement, sometimes we need that reminder of why we work and listening to other people as well. And you're right. I had the opportunity, I'm on episode 70 something at this moment. I believe you're 72, is to interview some CEOs. I know because you asked me, is Sean Tepper. He's the founder of Ticker. He started his own to get into investing, right? He made this program that allows you to be, an amateur investor, but make some pretty professional and profound influences, some investments there. I interviewed some California singers. Empress, she just came out with her new single, and I look at a list here in front of me, but some are innovation consultants like Natalie Bourne, very, very well known. But even from the list of people, some of the best that I've come to interview are people that I've known from friends growing up in high school and family, just finding out their motivation. And what I've found, I mean, you're right, I interviewed Dylan. I also interviewed Frankie the other day, a couple months ago, where he is the one who's telling me to to interview a bunch of other people. And it's so great because he even sees the value of work and how other people have a good message. And that's what I have come to see with some of these other people. There's a guy, Garrick Jones. He's trying to run for a GM position in the NFL, and he's making that his life message. Some voiceover work. I interviewed a NHL referee, and he had an interesting perspective on his journey up into professional sports. But a lot of interesting people, as you said, and around the world. And I appreciate that question because it makes me think again of what it is I'm doing with Why We Work. And I want to promote why other people work, and it gives other people encouragement. And I think that comes back to you with your story itself is an encouragement. So Peter, can you bring us back? I know on LinkedIn it says something about 12, but what was your very first job?
My very first official job was marketing and social media coordinator at Jody's Popcorn in Virginia Beach, Virginia, which I got through Craigslist is how I found that job. And but I had already been successful prior to that doing online marketing and was self-taught with graphic design and that sort of thing, which is how I got that job because I sort of learned the skills that I used in that job. And I did a lot of stuff there. I also designed their labels. I even did nutrition labels and design labels for custom orders in addition to doing their website search engine optimization and some of their marketing and coupons and that sort of thing. But that was my first official job. But honestly, for part of that time that I was working there, I was making more money doing independent marketing where I was getting paid commission for online marketing work that I was doing that I had been doing since a young age. And I think I started trying at the age of 12, and I really started making good money at the age of 15 in terms of the online marketing type of stuff.
What was your first unofficial job?
My first unofficial job? Oh, that's an interesting question. So when I was around 12, I was begging my parents to allow me to open a PayPal account or have them open it because I wasn't old enough to have one. You have to be 18 years old or whatever. And I wanted to. I saw the stuff on dealextreme.com that's now shortened to dx.com. That was a popular website that had stuff from China. And I saw stuff on there like housings for PSPs that were going a lot more on American eBay. And that was one of my first things I wanted to do was resell products because I saw there was a profit margin to be made where people were paying more money than what I can source them for elsewhere for the same product. So that was one endeavor that I tried doing around that age. And then another around that age is actually something that ended up not working out well, but this was the age of MySpace, and I was reaching out to people through MySpace, specifically bands and rappers, and I had downloaded a old school drag and drop website design software called Blue Voda, and I would make demo websites for rappers and bands and reached out to them and ask, hey, look at this demo website. I see you don't have a website, you have a MySpace page, but maybe this website may give you more credibility and help you get in the door. Here's a little demo I made. Are you interested in working together? And that's one of the first type of businesses I tried doing around that age. And I actually had one client, and I didn't really make anything off of it, but we made a website called Blazing Underground, and his name was Young Wine, some young underground rapper. He changed his rap name. I'll have to figure out what it is now, but some Atlanta rapper, and him and I made this website together, and it was only going for like 6 months or so, but I was only 12, 13 then, and we had a PHP forum on there, and he had some of his music that I had embedded on there. And I was trying to do a thing where I was reaching out to do web design, website building stuff for clients then because I self-taught myself some software there. And then This is getting a little bit drawn out because it's hard to remember
No, no,
chronologically
no.
which
It's
came
it's
first.
it's great. It's great. I mean, yeah, it's the chicken and the egg, which came
Because
first. But you're at 12, right?
yeah, and to bring it back to the Deal Extreme website, they had a referral program where you got points if you referred people. And so I saw on YouTube some little young kid was doing an unboxing video of some product that was on their website. And I noticed he just had a link to the website without the referral link. And I messaged him and I asked him, hey, can you put in my referral link on your video description since you're not using the referral program? And he was like, sure. And then I got through that one kid's link who had not hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of views on his video. There was tens of thousands of dollars of orders that came through that link, and their referral program, they paid out in points, and it equated to less than like 0.1% commission, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't make much money from it, but it opened the door to me that there was a way to make money online through commission-based type of sales deal there. And that is around the same age that I was doing the other stuff that I realized that. And then, so I went on from there.
So Peter, you mentioned about opening the door, but it seems that, so this is really 12, not into 11. I mean, you started flipping stuff.
Not
Or
until 11, no.
so 12.
At 12.
So at 12, you're seeing, well, what you're saying is it opened the door, but prior to that, you were banging the door. Why were you banging the door? What got this drive? I mean, Peter, I'm looking outside. Even my own daughter is 11. I mean, they're playing with toys and dolls and nothing wrong with that. But you're full blown into business. What got you into
that's
that?
an interesting question. I've always, I think I've always strived, wanted to be independent, and as a child, is starting to get to that age where you're crossing through childhood into your early teens. You want to like become more like an adult, more independent. So that sense of independence, that sort of thing, has been a big motivator of mine. And while I've had some traditional job titles, a lot of what I've done throughout my life would be considered self-employed. And so that type of independence, both through whether it's job obligations or financial independence, is something that is a major driving force for me still now. And I think back then, that was just I saw I played some video games when I was little, but then I was like, instead of making points in video games, I could make dollars on the internet. And instead of playing video games and do this and that, I could spend my time and make some money. And I mean, I also just like the concept of making money in general. Everyone likes that concept, but I think that really the core of it, though, is that the independence that it would give me.
Was there someone that instilled that upon you, or you saw someone, an influencer yourself, someone that maybe you saw, okay, if I have money, because at 12, regardless, that's pretty young to have a full understanding, although you obviously had a pretty good understanding of the weight of responsibility that comes on people and the necessity to have money. So was there someone in your life that said, Peter, with this, it kind of gives you some freedom?
There's a combination. For one, my dad has a really good work ethic, and then I've learned a lot from my parents. Both of my parents have a really good work ethic, and they sort of pull themselves up from the bootstraps from the beginning of their careers. They and then they both did well for themselves, but they made it through on their own. So their spirit was definitely an inspiration of mine. And then as far as some of this work that I got into doing online, the way my dad would see would be more like that I just go to college and get a regular job with regular benefits and that sort of thing. So that part of the influence wasn't sort of through him so much, though I did see, I definitely got work ethic, and they also instilled in me, we would have conversations about whether it's politics or money and stuff at it from a young age, and learned a good vocabulary from a young age. So that definitely is a major help in aspects of business and inspiration there as well. So
it's the reason
it's a
I asked
combination of
too.
stuff.
And
But I'd also seen
go ahead.
stuff online with like the get rich quick schemes and stuff like
Yeah.
that maybe search all over the internet for different things, and a lot of things that I tried and failed at, but it got me reading more about all sorts of different types of stuff. So that's sort of how I sort of navigated
Meandered. Yeah.
my own path. But the work ethic definitely comes from my parents, and then most of it was through self-discovery using the internet, because I was just on the cusp of the internet generation there, where I had a desktop computer, and when I got into high school, and then in middle school is like the age of just the beginning of the color camera phone, flip phones, and stuff like that. So it was a very interesting time to grow up.
And I asked that question, not one to pull it out of your own beginnings, but also for listeners, because there's a lot of people out there that don't have that family structure, or at least they didn't have that family influence. And it's not to discourage people, but to hear you, and that you can be that influencer for them to say, this is how I started. And they can hear and say, well, oh, okay, he had a little push, and you can be their little push. And then once you started that ball going, you were your own motivation. You kept yourself going, learning, because you saw the need for it. And that's why I say it, because I think there's a lot of people that go out there and say, well, oh, my dad never showed me, or my mom never showed me a good work ethic. Well, there's a lot of people out there that can show you if you're only willing to listen.
And not only that, there's a lot of great resources out there. There's some, you could stream some Harvard lectures online for free, and there's some stuff that they don't teach you in high school that you can research from home and learn, like how to register an LLC, which is very easy to do. And they don't teach you how to do that in high school, but that's something that people can learn and they can do. And you can register an LLC and get your own tax ID and bank account and do it yourself without using a third-party service, relatively cheaply and free. And for those people out there that are in that sort of situation, if they're American English speaking, and one of the things I encourage them to do also is, if they haven't learned through school or their parents grammar and vocabulary, to study that more on their own, because that is an important aspect of business in terms of learning legal language and having understanding all types of different businesses and that sort of thing is one of the building blocks that I think is necessary. And through the internet, there's all sorts of tools to self-teach yourself things nowadays. I do a lot of graphic design and some video editing and stuff like that, and all that stuff I self-taught myself a majority of that, and through the internet tutorials and all sorts of stuff like that. So that's what I would say to some people in those situations. Yep. That you can do it. And there's also a lot of people, especially with LinkedIn today, that you can connect with. And there's people that are willing to work with you. And that there's people that if you can be an apprentice for and learn from and work with, and can make it no matter what your background is.
It's great advice. They say LinkedIn is one of the most underutilized free tools. I mean, you can update it, your premium plan or what have you, but it's one of the underutilized free resources out there for people to get connections, to make some networking connections.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how you and I first contacted each other, was through LinkedIn, and we had the mutual contact of Frankie McDonald on there.
Peter, from Jody's Popcorn until 2015, when you really jumped into blockchain, were there any other jobs that kept you going on the side? Were you doing anything else?
Not traditional work.
Okay.
Everything that I've done has been online marketing based. Through different methods, I was advertising everything from software utilities to before the popularity of Netflix and before the inception even of Netflix. I was advertising some of the early days movie download websites and a variety of stuff that had affiliate programs, and that was where I made most of my money when I was in high school age and college age, and prior to getting into cryptocurrency, um, and not through traditional jobs, but through online commission-based marketing, and mostly using social media rather than paid advertising to do so.
Just, I don't want to miss this question just that I'm thinking of now is maybe you can speak of the room available for people to get into this space at this age you're referring to. So when you were a little bit younger, now is a little bit different in 2020, but is there enough room, wiggle room for people at a young age to get in here and to make some money as well, rather than what you mentioned as the traditional sources of income people get at, a McDonald's or something? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but getting into these types
Yeah,
of sources.
yes, absolutely. There is, and it's a constantly evolving. The online sphere is constantly evolving. So for young people, it's a double-edged sword. For one, they have an advantage over people even my age because they are growing up with more advanced technologies than I had when they were their age. So that some of the technology stuff is second nature to them. So they'll have an advantage in some regards there. And in other ways, they have a disadvantage because it's a much more competitive space now. Like in high school, when I made a bunch of money doing online advertising, affiliate marketing, that was when YouTube, before it was bought by Google, was early in its early days, and it wasn't saturated as much with content creators.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on what route you're talking about. But there's always new routes
Mm-hmm.
that are to be found, in new niches in different types of businesses. And like this year, I've been brokering sales through LinkedIn and connections that I've made through LinkedIn, and being a sales rep, doing sort of stuff like that on the side from what I do otherwise. And there's still opportunities there, and there's opportunities for there was a little bit of a learning curve there for me, but there's all sorts of different opportunities. So what I was doing in high school might not work now, but it's an evolving ecosystem, and I would say get started as early as you can, and don't let failure be a discouragement, because I have tried literally well over 100 different ways to make money on the internet, and the vast majority of those maybe $0. And if I had given up with the many failures, and in the brokering industry this year, a majority of the deals that I tried to do, especially when I was first learning, didn't close. And the being persistent and continuing to get started early, if you're a young person watching this, is great. And then the persistence and continuing on is and learning as you do it, and not letting failure discourage you is the way.
You mentioned the sales that you're doing are through LinkedIn on the side. That with all-plast Incorporated selling PPE?
All-plast Incorporated. That is, I have a traditional job title through All-plast Incorporated, but to be honest, I'm not working as closely with All-plast Incorporated right now. They gave me that job title because one of my business partners that I worked with early on, that showed me some of the ropes of the PPE industry when I got into it. One of my early business partners, a South Korean American. He's American, but he has a lot of ties to South Korea. You happen to be out in South Korea also.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he has a good friend that he grew up with. That's the CEO of Allplast. He had been brokering sales through PPE, and Allplast had gotten some into PPE sales because they supply grocery stores, and they supply grocery stores with shopping bags, as well as they were doing gloves, whether food grade nitrile or vinyl gloves and other stuff that became in demand during the PPE surge. Demand for need for such goods were being bought up on the market, and a lot of the supply chains for their traditional businesses was broken down, which is a whole different story. But basically, this guy, JC On, introduced me to Eric Chen, who is the CEO of all-plast, and they gave me that job title there as all-plast North American regional sales rep to work with a Korean. Originally, the what we were going to do there was working with a Korean manufacturer called Air Queen that makes a nanofiber mask and sell those. And we have a PDF deck through all-plast for those masks, and then we've gone on to PURE MSK, and I still work with them some and keep in contact with them, but that is a job title. That's not a salary title. Those are just connections that I made through LinkedIn and WhatsApp, and friends and connections that I've made through there. And that's
well, when I saw it and I thought, this is Peter going for an opportunity, because this is more of a COVID push. And so I see that as part of your character, finding an opportunity. And like any business, say savvy people, when to ride a wave, if something is going to be good or not, because in that industry, hopefully, COVID stops, but for the last year, that would have been a prime market to be in.
Yeah, and that's why I'm in it. And I was that was not my original intention at all for this year. My Twitter handle that I'm using right now, domains VVS, is something that I started the other year, where I was going to make a domain name marketplace, and I still am going to do that. And one of the aspects of it would accept cryptocurrency payment method. But that's a different story. But that was more what I was planning on doing this year, was focusing on starting up that marketplace. But when COVID hit, that is where I saw the opportunity. And my friend Michael, who I met out in Hong Kong, where I got the suit made, by the way, I got this made at Sam's Tailor in Hong Kong.
It's a nice suit.
It is. They're well known for making nice suits. They've made ones for all sorts of different presidents for Bush and Obama and all sorts of famous people. It's only like $350 for the entire custom fitted the dress shirt made by them too, or at least it was then when I bought mine. I don't know what the prices is now. Can't quote me on the price, but anyway, I met my buddy Michael out in Hong Kong, who's from Ukraine, and I met him at a Bitcoin meetup in Hong Kong at a place called Genesis Block, Hong Kong. And he was there in Hong Kong renewing his visa for mainland China. And he's the one that got me into the PPE sales. That's why I was getting into this, because early on with PPE, he was like, we're exporting a lot of the 3-ply and the KN95s and that sort of thing. So he was my inspiration to get into PPE. But as I got into the PPE business and started working on it more, a lot of people, there was a lot of difficulties with logistics, and a lot of people got raw deals from stuff ordered from China early on. So it was difficult for us to establish the trust independently with clients. Michael has really good sources and can vet quality and get competitive prices for stuff. But I ended up working on more stuff that was located already in the United States inventory for that type of work that I've been doing this year. But Michael is the person that got me into that business in the first place, because he had great prices on stuff that was being made there in China and that I could import here. Although unfortunately, we've worked on some sales that we've tried to close together, but Michael and I haven't. I've closed sales since then for American-made stuff and stuff located in America, but we ended up not doing so much for import stuff, and he's doing his own thing out in Thailand right now, working independently as well, doing SEO optimization right now.
So Peter, what takes up your time now? So I know you're busy. You started your own coin Stoner Coin VVS, correct?
VVS,
The
Stoner Coin VVS.
CEO.
Yeah, that's on the back burner. That's on the back burner. I have a LLC for that VVS cryptocurrency. I have stonercoin.com, stonercoin.io, and I intend on using the ticker symbol VVS cryptocurrency. And I have a plan laid out for that. And I have spoken with developers based out in Ohio, and I have quotes to get the entire project done. And I was spoken to, I was working out in 2018 with a canceled project, blockchain project for data storage. I've made some connections through there for people that can work as project managers that have connections with the different cryptocurrency exchanges to get listings for exchanges. So I've done a lot of work, but that's been put on the back burner for the time being. But that is still a project that I'm going to pursue. But that is one of the things that I have.
Peter, before we get into the weeds of cryptocurrency, and I'd like to a little bit if you have the time,
Sure.
can you explain it to me as a 5-year-old and anyone else that may have the limited knowledge about the topic? I mean, we hear about it a lot. It seems to be coming. I mean, from my perspective, more mainstream. And from your perspective, years ago, it's been good, right? But other people are slow into market.
All-time high today, as we speak, is the first time Bitcoin has been over $21,000 ever.
I saw it 2 days ago. It was 19, was it? And then
it was 19,000 a few days ago, and today it broke over $21,000 before we started this interview earlier today. So the combined cryptocurrency market cap between Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies is like $500 billion at present time. So bring us
a little bit back to explain it.
So to explain it well, what it is, to explain what it is a blockchain cryptocurrency is just to put it simply, it's just a digital coin that people decide that can be sent from one person's wallet to another person's wallet. And there's different blockchains out there. Most people are familiar with Bitcoin. I'm more into a cryptocurrency called Verge Currency, but there's a set number of coins or tokens of each of these specific cryptocurrencies that will ever be created. And it's the concept is to decentralize currency, sort of, and make it digital for peer-to-peer transactions and payments. And that's not really putting it as simple as, I'm trying to think of a more concise way to put it, but digital money, I guess, is the most concise way to put it. And digital money backed by whatever the markets decide to put the value on it, basically. And
so how has it been for retail in buying with cryptocurrency and the increase with the use of it? Because it's
the use of the cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Sure. There is right here. I have I bought this with cryptocurrency. This is Pex Pepper's hot sauce, which was the first Verge Currency accepting vendor. They started accepting Verge Currency way back in like 2014, 2015. And so I've been buying hot sauce through them with cryptocurrency. So as of right now, there are online vendors individually accepting cryptocurrency, and PayPal has made some announcements recently saying they're going to get into cryptocurrency. So it is moving into the world of e-commerce. And one of the things that I've been involved with some is the online gaming casino industry, where it has it's become ubiquitous, even with the websites that were existing prior to the rise of cryptocurrency. And that's because in that specific industry, it has inherent advantages, because with the online gambling industry, there's different laws in different jurisdictions that makes it very difficult for them to accept credit card and debit card in the first place. And for those that can, and bank transfer as well, and for those that can, they have the problem where if people lose and get frustrated, even if they legitimately lost, they might dispute the transaction and try to do a chargeback. That puts risk for the casino, and then same for the players using traditional fiat currency.
But Peter,
A lot of cash out times are like 2 weeks. They charge you $45 for a bank transfer. So that's
isn't
one
this
space.
the problem? Isn't this the problem? And I don't, I'm saying, but this is the debate, right? That
Sure.
cryptocurrency, and I'm not saying I'm part of the debate, but this is what's said, is that cryptocurrency uh, reduces the trail to the spender, I guess, or the buyer. So what would you say to that? And I don't have any skin in the game, so I'm just saying, where someone might say, well, you won't be able to see the transaction that happened between this and this person or that person for this product or this product, or for this service and this service. What do you say to that?
Uh, Actually, it could go both ways. It could go both ways because, for one, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, the way that Bitcoin, Litecoin, Verge currencies that have public ledgers, you can actually audit and see on the block explorers on websites how many coins are in each wallet and that sort of thing. So there's more transparency in terms of the ability to audit cryptocurrency in terms of the amount of circulating supply and in regards to that sort of thing. And a lot of exchanges nowadays, where you can trade your cryptocurrency for dollars or use it for other purposes, have KYC standards, which is KYC stands for Know Your Customer, where you do have to have your identity known. So if you have a wallet that is tied to your identity, there actually is just as much of a trail as there is if you don't, like as just like a bank account. But then there is the other hand where people can transact more discreetly and anonymously, and depending on the ways they cash out and cash in, which cryptocurrency they use, or how they spend it, it could I mean, there would be a lack of traceability there, and that's an entire debate where the line should be in terms of what personal, where in terms of personal liberties and individual privacy, what threshold there should be or should not be, is a question.
Well, that's what I thought you were actually going to
Debated.
say. You say right away, and I think that would be the valid point, is, well, why should people know what you spend your money on?
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's one reason a lot of people find cryptocurrency interesting, is because they want to be their own bank, and they want to be able to use a decentralized system where they can create an account that's not tied to their name. They can create a wallet on their own computer, and they can be their own bank, and they don't have to have everyone knowing, whether it's advertisers or anyone else knowing, or creditors knowing their entire financial history of payments and what they're like, and it allows them to maintain a level of privacy there in those regards. But it could be used in a variety of ways. That is what I'm saying, is that it has a level of transparency that fiat currency doesn't have in certain ways, in terms of the blockchain technology, where you can go online, you could see how, whenever you could look at the amount of Bitcoins in circulation, and you can look at the individual wallets to see the live transactions. You can do that. You might not necessarily know who the transactions are going to and from, but there is
That allows you
and
transparency,
auditability.
that allows you to trust the system, trust the coin, to know what's happening with it, and that
Right.
money's not disappearing. It reminds me of, I mean, the banking industry itself, where the foolishness in having to gain or earn credit in order to borrow money. So, you know, you get your rating, the score, what is it called in the States? You have to get
The credit score.
your credit score. And the only way you can get a credit score is if you borrow money. So like,
And pay it back.
and
Yeah.
pay it back. So I heard of one guy who's rich. He said, I've never had to borrow money and I don't have a credit score. So with millions in the bank, he couldn't get a loan because he doesn't have a credit score. He's never borrowed and never used a
Well,
credit
I,
card.
I know the people that he could talk to because I was a guy. So if you that guy needs
Yeah.
capital, tell him to contact me because I know some. I was involved recently earlier this week. I did an introduction for a company that was looking for capital, and I know a capital company based out of New York that does some untraditional type of financing. For example, they financed the Mike Tyson fight recently, and they'll extend lines of credit to people that need capital fast. And if you have a strong financial history, like and even though you didn't necessarily borrow lines of credit, where a bank might automatically decline you because of your credit score, they're willing to talk to people, and they'll do up to there. There's interesting folks that I ended up getting connected with through the PPE industry, and they'll do from 100,000 to 10 million plus in a day if the people if they decide to work together and agree on.
Speaking of connections, Peter, what do you think how would typical Joe interact and connect with cryptocurrency?
Cryptocurrency.
How should people throw in their chips to this, or what do you suggest they should do and where they should go?
Well, the simplest apps to get started. There's apps that you can download in the App Store. One called Voyager, Invest Voyager, that has Bitcoin and XVG on there, and some other cryptocurrencies. There's another one called Gemini, and then on Cash App, which is popular, which I've been using all year. It allows you to buy Bitcoin instantly through your bank account and send the Bitcoin instantly. But Bitcoin is the only option. But that is Cash App is a mainstream payment application, at least here in the United States, and that one is an easy option, simple for people to buy Bitcoin to get started with. But Voyager has a better selection of coins. Gemini has some other different coins on there. And those are easy ways to get started as far as apps go. And then if you want to get into more, there's all sorts of different cryptocurrencies out there. So let's say you buy some Bitcoin on Cash App, you can go to one of the coin exchange websites, whether it's the traditional exchange websites that work sort of like stock exchanges, or there's ones that are simple that are just you put it in the coin you have and the coin you want to receive and how much coin you're sending and how much coin you want to receive into what wallet. And if Change Jelly is an example, Stealth Exchange is an example, Swapspace.co is an example, Change Angel that donates a portion of proceeds is an example of those ones where you just exchange one coin for another coin, and it's pretty simple to do as long as you can have a wallet set up to receive to. But those third-party applications will set up your wallet automatically, and it makes it pretty simple to get started into it in the first place.
From your suggestion with, say, diversification with your funds, do you recommend, or just by personal experience, for people to slide a percentage over into cryptocurrency?
I'm biased on this one. I'm
Throw it all
biased
in.
yeah, I'm an all-in type of guy, and yeah, because for one, I believe in it, and and it's something that goes back to I have back there my End the Fed shirt, defrauding America since 1913, and so that's something I believe in for different reasons as well. One of the reasons I believe in cryptocurrency. So I'm an all-in type of guy. There's definitely merits for being safe because it has been a volatile market to diversify. If you are going to include cryptocurrency in your portfolio of assets and want to be safe, then yeah, diversification is the safest way to go. But with my story, if I had stayed all in from the start, I would have been a much wealthier man right now than I had been if I had hadn't cashed so much out early on and traded so much. So that
Is there,
is
on that note, is there a couple of kick yourself with the pants moments that you made that you can look back on and divulge to us?
oh yeah, yeah, easily. I mean, I was I at the end of 2016, I had hundreds of Bitcoin, and I was cashing them out like
Mind
crazy. And
you,
this was
wait a second for people listening. Hundreds of Bitcoin, like 100, 200, 300 Bitcoins?
it was around 200. I had 350 briefly, and then I was gambling on a high stakes online casino at the time when I turned my what was I first made a bet election bet on the 2016 election, 2 Bitcoin, and I won 7 Bitcoin on the day of the election, and then I ran it up on an online casino that was doing slots that had a maximum of like 0.25 or zero point 0.5 Bitcoin per spin bet, and I went up to 20 grand with a Bitcoin. Back then Bitcoin was under $1,000 a coin, and I ran it up real quick, and I was about to cash it out when I was at 350 Bitcoin at the peak there, and I ended up more closely ending the year around when I actually kept when I stopped myself from gambling around 200 Bitcoin.
So about 200 plus Bitcoin, and you said today it's topped at 21,000 a Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah, and then here's the
A
kicker
coin,
too
yeah.
is I got into other cryptocurrencies in 2017, and those percentage gains far exceeded even Bitcoin's percentage gain in 2017. So if I had just put all my 200 Bitcoin all into that the cryptocurrency that I do a lot of promotion for, there's a Verge hoodie back there. They had the highest percentage gain in 2017. They started with a $270,000 market cap and ended the year at a $3 billion market cap. So I could have made like literally like 8-9 figures profit if I had just put all my Bitcoin into that other cryptocurrency day one, and then millions if I just kept it in the Bitcoin to begin with and held on to it. But I was cashing out Bitcoin, and I got first gotten into it in 2015, and I've sold Bitcoin for as little as like $250, and now here we are, it's $2,100, and I was cashing out Bitcoin at the beginning of end of 2016, beginning of 2017, like 5 grand at a time, and getting Western Unions and paper cash and just spending it like but
So if you have Bitcoin, this is back to the elementary level of it. You can cash it out and get cash for it.
yes, and there's a lot more ways now than there was in 2016 and 2017. In the earlier days, there were very few options. Now there's many options, many mainstream options. I had mentioned Cash App and Voyager and Gemini, and all of those you can trade directly to fiat currency and deposit back into your bank account as USD if you choose to do so. So there's hundreds of different exchanges out there now, and what I was using back in 2016 2017 is a website called localbitcoins.com, where you can just trade from one individual to another individual, and some people do bank transfers, some people do money orders. You could trade for gift cards, you could trade for all sorts of stuff, and that's what I was using early on. And that's one way you can cash out your liquid or trade your cryptocurrency. And I have hundreds of Bitcoin of trade volume on there. I could
Peter,
give you
thinking
the players my account on there, but
you mentioned with gambling, and I think some people would be adverse to Bitcoin because of the idea of it being such a gamble. While all investment is a gamble, I mean, walking outside of our front steps, porch is a
well,
gamble.
what I would tell them is not having at least some in their portfolio is also a gamble, because the world is quickly changing. We've seen how rapidly the world has shifted in the past 30 years due to the internet and the introduction of cell phones in the past decade with touch phones, touchscreen cell phones, and in the past 20 years with YouTube and social media. We've seen how quickly the technology changes the way the world works. And I think cryptocurrency will continue to be a facet of the global economy. And and I have some real world stories where I've used it, and it's come and like it's been it's been a better option for me than regular currency in certain scenarios for legitimate business purposes. But anyway, I would say it is a gamble not to at least have some of your portfolio if you have money saved up in cryptocurrency. The US dollar has remained stable. The Canadian dollar has remained stable. The RMB has remained fairly stable. But we've seen hyperinflation scenarios happen in other countries. And honestly, after this year, I'm a little bit worried about the future of everywhere, from the United States to the European Union, to all sorts of places, because of all this stuff, the shutdowns for COVID, and then the additional government spending and all that sort of thing. Inflation is a rational fear to have in this type of economic climate. And that is one of the things that I saw in 2017. Bitcoin had a spike during when Greece was having a crisis where they weren't able to, banks were out of money and people were rushing to withdraw their money, and they were having an economic crisis, their government going bankrupt and that sort of thing. Bitcoin had a spike then because there was a lot of people in Greece using Bitcoin-based ATMs because their regular ATMs had withdrawal limits imposed by the government or financial institutions at that time. And because of that news, it was partially because of the speculation, not just the use of the Bitcoin ATMs. The Bitcoin price had gone up because of what was going on in Greece then. And I see cryptocurrency as a alternative and potentially a safety net if the traditional systems fail. And I'm a harsh critic of the inflationary fiat currency system and the fractional reserve banking system that exists. And I think cryptocurrency is a legitimate alternative. And I think it has legitimate business uses as well.
Where
and
does
advantages.
where does the rumors has of the Great Reset, where does this play in this? I mean, the
The
Canadian
Great
Prime
Reset.
Minister. Yeah.
Yeah, Justin Trudeau was talking about the Great Reset. I don't know exactly. It's been a very baffling year, and it has been a very confusing time. And I think a lot of people have different conflicting visions of what they want the future to be like. I mean, for me, it'd be great. The Great Reset would be going back to normal, like before this year, and starting off and trying to build like back the economy normally. But I mean, for others, it could mean something else. And that's a tough question, because I think that goes towards can be viewed from many lenses and applied to many topics.
Yeah. So what do you do now, Peter? What do you do each day? What keeps you going? What is on your plate each day? I mean, obviously you're staying akin to politics. You know what's going on in the news. You're busy on Twitter and all of the platforms out there. What do you do each day on a typical day?
Lately, the year, I've spent probably most of my time trying to broker deals on WhatsApp, mostly through connections that I made through LinkedIn. And I am well known in the crypto space for my moniker XVG Whale, which I had on Twitter in 2017, which was hacked and suspended. That's a different story. And I continue to tweet about the cryptocurrency that I support on my Twitter page at VVS Domains. At Domains VVS, because my XVG Whale real account got suspended. That's a different story. But anyway, so I spend part of my time.
Why did your account get not hacked, but eventually banned? Was it because I think you had a big following, and then
there was the XVG Whale account, the original account, I had 65,000 organic followers, and I was starting to go viral at the end of 2017, along with Verge Currency itself, when Verge Currency was hitting its peak and Bitcoin was hitting its peak in 2017. And that is, I can't say for certain, but I had met John McAfee a few months prior, and he had endorsed Verge Currency, and there was some text messages requesting money from me. And I'm not part of the Verge Currency core team. I'm just like an independent supporter of that cryptocurrency. But I had some contacts within the core team. But anyway, it's a long story, and I was actually subpoenaed this year regarding that. And I'm not the target of the case at all. But basically, I was there's an article, if you look up, there's an article if you search my name, Peter Galanko and John McAfee, that comes up in the New York Magazine that talks a little bit about it, how there was I was being asked basically for $1 million for this endorsement, which I did not agree to prior, that sum of money, and I didn't pay that money, and then I got a text message saying pay me $100,000 in 2 hours and never talk to me again, and it'll be all good. And I didn't pay that money, and then a few weeks later my account got hacked, and then I was getting a text from a random phone, it was an internet generated phone number asking for $10,000 for my Twitter handle, password back, and they also stole $5,000 worth of Verge from my Verge Tips account, and they hacked my email address as well. So those events all, I believe, are related, but I also don't want to go out on a limb and say that it was that specific person that did it, because it's an investigation. If there's hard evidence that that person was responsible for that account, then it is what it is. So that was the first account, the XVG Whale account. And by the end of 2017, I was getting at the peak 1 to 2 million organic impressions on my tweets per day. I had gained those 50,000 followers in a few months period, and I had gotten started in crypto Twitter mid 2017, and I was gaining traction really quickly in December, October, November of 2017. And prior to that, in the crypto Twitter world, which was a much smaller world back then than it is now, and less saturated. So that account was hacked, and I didn't have 2FA authentication, so I couldn't reset my password with my phone number. So that's one of the reasons I wasn't able to get that back.
So I was going to ask that earlier about the two-password what is it called?
2FA, two-factor authentication.
So you're a big proponent of that now for anyone listening. Opposed to just having 1, 2, 3, 4.
For social media accounts or crypto accounts, if you can, for exchange accounts, that sort of thing, email accounts, all of that, I highly recommend using at least text message authentication. And then there's Google Authenticator, which some cryptocurrency exchanges have integration with. And just a pro tip to people, make sure you store your backup passphrases for your Google Authenticator, because if you get a new phone, even if it's the same phone number, you have to have your backup passphrases to reauthorize your Google Authenticator, which is used as a 2FA method on some of the higher level securities exchanges.
With things like TikTok, someone puts a video on, or someone messages something on Facebook or Twitter, just a regular person, there's not much fear, while they probably should have some. But when you're getting into the cryptocurrency world and dealing with your money, do you have any sort of fear or hesitation about being in it, or are you extra careful, just as a warning to people who get into it? Do you have any hesitation?
I run headfirst into it, and I don't personally have much hesitation, despite I've had all sorts of I've had a crazy past 3 years, and there's been some drama and all sorts of stuff, and I say go for it and speak your mind and speak your truths, and and express yourself is what I say.
So what else do you do?
uh,
So what else do you do to stay busy, Peter?
all right. For today, for example, I spent earlier today, I was doing, well, for one, I've been talking to Frankie and Dylan almost every day. We just chat once in a while, not just the Gary and Dino show and the Trevor's Happy Hour thing that he does sometimes, but Dylan and Frankie and I will just Skype together, non-broadcasted, and talk with each other. So those are some virtual friends that I have that keep me company as far as socializing goes. That has been a highlight of my year this year, especially these past few months. And I've gotten to know them a lot better these past months. And so that's one thing recreationally. But as far as work goes, I spent a lot of today. I continue to try to keep a presence in the cryptocurrency space. And I do want to get into the domain name space, which was what I was planning to focus this year on. But I as well as the Stoner Coin thing, but I ended up doing the PPE sales because that was the opportunity that seemed the most to be the most viable at the time for working from home to make money. And but from day to day, what I do, I keep posting on my social media. I like staying active on social media, and I continue to independently promote the cryptocurrency that I invest my money into. And I spend some of my time to doing that, and I don't get paid to do that. But that's something that I spend some of my time doing. But a lot of today I spent on multiple phone calls for PPE sales and forwarding products to one person to another on WhatsApp. And I talk to a lot of people on LinkedIn that have and see what their needs are for a certain product. And I try to locate what product they need at their target price and connect the dots for them and facilitate sales in the PPE world. And I've been doing a lot of that. I was on the phone earlier talking about a test kit sale. And then before that, talking about some masks. And I closed a sale earlier this week for some face shields. And the other broker on that deal I met through LinkedIn, who found the source in LA, and the end buyer was in Pittsburgh. And I found the end buyer, and she found the source in LA, but she's located in the Philippines. And I zoomed her commission of the sale out to the Philippines. So it's been but anyway, lately this year especially, I've been spending a lot of my time on WhatsApp communicating with people, and on LinkedIn communicating with people, trying to facilitate and broker sales in the medical and PPE industry. But that is not where I see myself going for the long run. That's just an opportunity that I have for the time being. And
what do you use LinkedIn? Sorry, not even LinkedIn. WhatsApp primarily for? Is it just a means of communication, or is there other sorts of aspects to it that people may not be familiar with?
For people that don't use WhatsApp, you can create groups on WhatsApp. So if you have multiple people that you want to talk to at the same time, you can create a group and add like 3 people to the same chat, 3 or 4 people or whatever, if you're all working together on a business deal. And then if you have, you might be talking to a supplier for a certain product on one chat and a buyer for that same product on another chat, and they might send you photos or video of the product. And then you can forward over the videos or photos of the product to the other person really easily through the application. And you can also do PDF documents in the application, and you can make calls. And it is good for me because I actually, in this where I'm staying right now, I get terrible cell phone reception. So WhatsApp is better for me for calls, because I had to walk outside to use my regular mobile cell phone most of the time. The calls usually drop inside for that, so
With all the
convenient.
With all the work you're doing, Peter, what is difficult for you in this type of work that you're doing?
Managing my time and prioritizing is because I've especially in doing this brokering type of work this year, I've wasted a lot of time on certain deals that didn't were dead ends, and so trying to prioritize my time and figure out it's all about making good connections with people and finding good people that are trustworthy and that are reliable and I think that's true in almost any business. And so that's a large part of it. But what was the question again? I'm sorry.
The difficulty, scheduling.
Oh,
You're
the
saying,
difficulty. Yeah, the difficulty is, so that's one of the difficulties is figuring out what to prioritize my time on, because I have a ton of ideas that I would like to pursue. For example, I own the domain name VVS.diamonds. And like that is a business idea I was thinking about. Well, instead of selling that domain name, I originally was going to try to sell that domain name and some of my other domain names. Why not start building a website on that and contact jewelers and try to rank on the first page for the search term VVS diamonds? If you're not familiar, VVS diamonds are the highest rated diamonds. So if I was able to make a marketplace for jewelry and partner with jewelers to sell on that marketplace and rank highly on Google, that could be a lucrative business. So I got all these different ideas. I got Stoner Coin that I still want to pursue, and I got also want to keep a presence as a crypto influencer despite losing my XVG Whale page, my XVG Whale Real page. And by the way, my XVG Whale Real page was suspended due to some political comments. That was a different story than my XVG Whale hack story, which ended up getting suspended, but it wasn't, I didn't have any TOS violations when it was hacked. It was suspended from what the hackers were posting. But anyway, that's a different story. But so prioritizing my time is the most difficult part, because there's a lot of stuff that I'd like to do, and there's only so many hours in the day.
With so much that you're doing, where are you getting your satisfaction? What brings you the satisfaction? Is it really the money? Is it the hard work? What brings you?
I mean, money is a motivator. I would like the money to have the independence and freedom that being financially comfortable can bring you. That is a motivator, but I also get satisfaction through the other day when I made that face shield sale. It was just for 4,000 face shields, and the lady's commission out in the Philippines was $200, but that meant the world to her because that's a huge amount of money to her there. So when she received that commission, she kept saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And she was just so happy that we finally closed the sale, because she had got me quotes for dozens of products for sales that didn't close prior to that. And we finally closed one. So that was really satisfying to
be part of,
connect with people all over the world. And then also in this industry, there's a lot of earlier this week, I made the introduction of Sharif Solomon, who has a PhD from Boston College, who has 30 years of electrospinning experience making nanofiber. And South Korea, where you're located, is for medical use, nanofiber has been the dominant source for nanofiber over these past decades. And U.S. manufacturing of nanofiber has really mostly began this year during COVID-19. And I connected him to that capital firm that I mentioned earlier this week and made an introduction. I'm not sure if things are going to work out or not, but I think he has a lot to bring to the world, and that's a mutual connection I've talked to a lot on the phone with, and he has a lot of knowledge of that specific industry, and with his PhD, he's a genius scientist, and that nanofiber material has all sorts of applications. He believes he can create a superior quality medical mask than what's available out there. And we're talking not just for consumer use, but for doctor use.
Mm-hmm.
So I would get a lot of satisfaction if I was able to help facilitate his company, Matrigenics, get off the ground there. And there's also other applications from water filtration and air filtration that those nanofibers can be used for. They can filter at a much higher level than HEPA filters can, and they're using it. They have all sorts of patents applied for using it for tissue wound healing, where there's nanofiber applied to wounds with medication, and then also for dental implants and all sorts of stuff. So trying to do some good along the way and trying to facilitate and help lift people up that and make some money while doing it is part of the fulfilling process in this line of work.
In your facilitating, and you seem to be, well, you are in a bunch of industries. So is there a skill that you've realized even from a young age that you had to develop, and it's something that you're developing and you can see it's getting stronger, or you have a little bit more to go where you'll be right where you need with this skill?
Well, I guess the most concise skill is communication, and then that can go in the direction of either marketing or networking, and so and then I mean I'm skilled in graphic design and other sort of things as well, but and strategy. I think strategy is a skill I have. I helped grow the Verge fam community on Twitter when XPG was a little not that well-known cryptocurrency. In 2017, it became well-known cryptocurrency and did really, really well that year. So I think that community building, strategizing stuff, difficult question.
You surely have a lot of skills. No, there's no doubt about it. But just the idea, I guess what I want to promote with this question is we need to develop skills, regardless of what you have specifically or how well you are developed now. The idea when I was younger was, well, I don't know, skills, or when you're filling out a resume of sorts and you're trying to explain to people. But there are certain skills that employers are looking for, or that even if you're not employed, you're starting your own thing, you're just going to need when you're out on a WhatsApp call or you're brokering between individuals. There's things that you're going to have to be able to do.
Yeah, and it really depends on what work you're trying to do. There was a huge learning curve for me in this PPE industry, learning about, for example, with the 3-ply masks, there's 3 levels for medical. There's the non-medical protective masks that are labeled non-medical on the side of them, and it says these aren't meant to prevent or the transmission of disease or whatever on the side of them. Those are the non-medical, below 95% BFE, and there's level 1, level 2, level 3 of the 3-plies, and those are rated in BFE, and the blood absorption and other tests that are those ratings, and then with the NIOSH level N95s, is a totally different grading scale for the NIOSH certification, and what is on the CDC list, and this year has been continually changing with the emergency use authorization in the United States for what's approved for import for non-US made goods that weren't previously FDA approved, that were approved for use this year. And like with medical gowns, I'm working on a deal to sell clinics some medical gowns. They come in level 1, 2, 3, 4. And the thing is, like somebody asked me, can I get 25,000 level 2 gowns? The learning in this industry, you have to know what you're talking about to be able to do it, because level 2 medical gowns, there isn't just one. Doesn't mean just one thing. They could be made out of SMS. PP plus PE is another material. CMT is another material. There's 3 types of material. You can have sterile and non-sterile, and there's like a dozen different variants of a level 2 medical gown out there, and you have to be able to know that sort of stuff to be able to do that sort of stuff. But for people watching that just want relative business knowledge, I mean, learn about whatever niche it is that you're working on, and then also learn about the legal stuff to protect yourself. Learn how to like register. Starting, the most basic is learning to register an LLC if you're in the United States, and and then learning about using DocuSign is something everybody uses nowadays, and they use that for NCNDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and non-circumvention agreements, and that sort of thing. And that is something they don't teach you in high school, but it's important to learn about for business in any industry. So that's for one. And
Those are a lot of skills. A lot of skills you
so
got to
there,
learn.
yeah, there's a lot of skills, but there's a lot of skills to learn depending on what you want to focus on.
Specific, yeah.
But learning the general business foundations first is necessary, regardless of whatever niche somebody wants to focus on or in. And then gaining knowledge either about what market it is, or honing in your skill if you're a graphic designer or web designer, and practicing that skill until you're really good at your craft is those are the part of the steps.
Peter, since you are the influencer of influencers, I would say that cryptocurrency is your main source of joy, your main source of you
My
enjoy make
passion.
your passion. Is there something
Yeah.
that people don't understand about you that you would like them to understand, whether it's understanding specifically about cryptocurrency, understanding you and your footprint in cryptocurrency, that you would like them to understand so that they could have a better appreciation of you or the work that you're doing?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm very passionate about it for a number of reasons. I think it provides merit for a decentralized currency system. It could be a safety net for countries like Venezuela and Zimbabwe, and hopefully we don't have hyperinflation scenarios in other countries. Who knows what could happen over the next decades, especially after 2020, been one hell of a year. What
about for you specifically? What would you like people to understand about you and what you're doing?
Well, for one, I helped popularize Verge fame on especially on Twitter in 2017, and I'm very proud of that. And unfortunately, my original Twitter page is gone, and then my second one that I made to replace that, XPG Whale Reel, is gone. So I am my footprint there was sort of erased, and is apparently the Twitter support team is not fond of me, or it's just too automated, one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like people to know that I came, I saw, I conquered in that altcoin space in 2017, and I'm going to continue to do so, and continue to try to elevate this specific cryptocurrency and myself as a cryptocurrency influencer and the mainstream use and adoption of cryptocurrency. But yeah, I worked really hard at creating and building community for that specific cryptocurrency in 2017. And I've done a lot of different work after that.
It's great that you're continuing on. What about the idea of staying productive? You're a hard worker. So how or why are you staying so productive?
For one, there is I don't know. I am very content
I mean, you're
focusing.
talking about flipping stuff when you're 12, selling MySpace
Yeah,
websites at 12 years old, and it seems like you
yeah.
haven't let your foot off the pedal.
Well, I'm online social media. I'm more extroverted on social media, but naturally growing up, I've been more introverted. So staying on the computer and doing, whether it's WhatsApp or other stuff, LinkedIn, and other stuff all day is I don't know. It is. I just feel comfortable doing it, and then for one, I'm been isolated due to my health condition this year, so I don't have a whole lot of other stuff that I could be out doing right now. So I have a girlfriend back in Ohio, and we're not physically together right now because of where my family's being very precautious and having me stay with them because they're retired. So I'm on the first floor of my house all of the time besides dinner time.
You got a lot of time on your hand, yeah.
I got a lot of time on my hands, and instead of I'm a and I've had success before with the online marketing stuff when I was younger, and then as well in the cryptocurrency realm. And I had a lot of fun traveling too as well. And The Hunger for More, which was one of my favorite Lloyd Banks albums when I was a kid growing up. The Hunger for More was the name of that album. My parents even liked that one. We listened to that album on the way to a little private Catholic school I went to, which was kind of ironic because it's like a gangster rap album. But that's what my mom would play that album for me in the morning because it helped wake me up and go all the way to class from middle school. But so the Hunger for More, I've had a roller coaster throughout my life and career. Financially and exposure-wise on social media and in all sorts of ways, and also as well as my health. And so just trying to get back on top it motivates me to stay on my grind all the time.
You mentioned some of the platforms that you use. Is there one tool in particular that helps you stay productive and efficient? Something that you can't really live without? What is your main go-to, I guess?
Right now, I kind of sort of just go. I need to work on more organization, to be honest. Because I would say if I were to schedule and organize and make a to-do list, which is something that I have done and not kept up with as much. I mean, trying to stay organized would be something to help me stay more productive. But right now, I've been very prior to talking to you, I talked to about 4 or 5 different people in the 2 hours prior to talking to you on WhatsApp about different deals. And so I've just been in demand. So I've just been as needed, as contacted. Like I've just been going with the flow.
You bounce from tool to tool, and they're all useful for you.
Yeah, but I really should use some sort of tool to stay more organized, to prioritize my time better and schedule my time better.
There was someone who mentioned to me, I think there's something todo.com or something. It's like a to-do list of sorts. And like Trello and those sorts of resources. Peter, do you have a tip for people getting into work, thinking of yourself at 12 who's unbelievably motivated, or changing some of your careers or jobs that you have, or balancing a couple of jobs at a time, getting into these? Do you have a tip for people just getting into work, hesitant of changing your career, or not really sure of what type of job they can do?
That's a difficult question. It really depends on what they want to do and where they're at in their life. And if they are
motivated, maybe.
All right. Can you rephrase the question a little bit?
Yeah, just thinking of listeners who may be 12 years old, looking, thinking, okay, money might buy me a pair of shoes. It might give me some freedom. There could be a person who's wanting to switch their careers, but they're going to try something new regardless. Do you have a tip for someone getting into the workforce?
Getting into the workforce, nowadays, digital age, LinkedIn is prevalent. So making a presence on there and starting to reach out to people, I think is a good idea. And if you're starting, and for example, the way I got my foot in the door with Jay Sion, who led me to Eric Chen, that led me to all-plast, gave me that job title there, even though I'm not working so much with them as much right now. I started a Twitter page called a domain name where I had kn95.company because my original plan was to import KN95s through Michael. And I did a Twitter contest using my cryptocurrency to like and follow that page. That gave me some followers on that page, and I filed for an LLC. And then once you file for an LLC, you can list there on your LinkedIn page that you're the CEO or the president of that LLC. And it's a true statement, even if you haven't done business in that LLC yet. And then so making a presence on digital presence there on, and that got me noticed, and that got me responses from people because some of the people that I first talked to was like, wait, I haven't seen anybody doing this type of marketing on Twitter for this type of things. Like hospitals aren't buying their stuff through Twitter anyway, and that sort of thing. But they noticed that I was making some sort of more. I was trying to market through a different avenue than other people were, and I registered an LLC and was posting, and then I just started reaching out to more and more people. But
getting on LinkedIn,
so if you're looking
starting
to,
your own,
if you're looking to get into, even if you're looking just for a job position, networking with people that are in the industry that you want to work with, and adding them, sending them requests on LinkedIn and saying, hey, do you want to talk? And that is one way to just start getting a feel for another industry, and one thing can lead to another, and you can get started in a new field that way, and creating your digital footprint. And then I also think if you're starting something independently, registering that LLC and maybe buying that domain name and creating a website or Twitter handle or something like that, in addition to updating your LinkedIn page, can help
get you into the workforce.
Yeah, get you into the workforce, and establish yourself a little bit more, and help you make some of those connections that might lead to the job. And I've turned down job offers, unfortunately, that I had great opportunities to work due to my health condition that I made through these LinkedIn connections. But the point being is, if somebody else started to do the same thing at the beginning of the year and continued to network with people and continued to talk to people, they could have also gotten those
Same
job
connections.
opportunities and similar connections. And you just got to keep putting yourself out there, no matter who you are, where you're from, or what your background is, and keep trying to learn more about whatever industry it is that you want to work in. And whether you want to be independent, an independent contractor, self-employed, or start up your own business, or you're looking for a job and employment, just start networking with people in that field. And it's easier to do that now in the digital age with LinkedIn there to reach out to new people. And you can just message people and ask them to, hey, let's see how we can work together. I'm interested in this field, and I've connected to a lot of people that way. And
Peter, you mentioned being more introverted than extroverted. I think there's a balance for people, but how do you turn off work and make those work-life choices, or try to enjoy yourself rather than only thinking of work? Is that hard? Is it difficult?
It's difficult to find a balance sometimes, especially when I'm in my grind mode to try to get back on top of the game, back to where I want to be after it. Like when I'm in my hustle zone, where I'm on when I wake up, until I go to sleep, I'm either thinking about working on new things or contacting people and talking to people almost all the time. And that's just in that mode that I'm in right now. And I'm really working towards being able to get to where I can, I was coasting a lot in 2017, where I was having fun and more tweeting about it on my Twitter page, talking about the cryptocurrency stuff. And it was very fortuitous with the markets going up and that sort of thing. And I was coasting along. But right now I am focused more on work than play because I am wanting to, grow my money and be at a place where I have more flexibility and freedom and independence by having more money. So that is like,
It's
so
hard.
I
It's
don't
hard to
know.
balance the life, especially if you're
Yeah.
seeing you're trying to get back up. It's hard to get back
Yeah.
up, especially when the other guy's working as much or
Yeah.
more as well, right? It's a
Yeah,
competitive
yeah, and that's
atmosphere.
the thing though, is that especially if you're trying to get your foot in the door of the industry and establish yourself in the industry, and like for there's people that will try once and fail and give up. There's people that will try 5 times, fail and give up, and then and then the difference is for some of the people that make it in whatever industry is the people that stay persistent and continue to work, and it can be time to manage your time, especially if you have a spouse and family and other
Responsibilities,
obligations and
yeah.
that sort of thing. It can be difficult, but the fact is there's always other people out there that are
Hustling.
that are steady working, and so if you have the work ethic and I have the ambition to keep at it, then you just keep at it, keep it at it, and definitely got to try to make time for family and stay well balanced and spend some time in nature and that sort of thing. Fortunately, I live close to the beach here, so I live close to nature, um, and so I can get out and walk and decompress and that sort of thing. But
Peter, is there anything else of maybe when you were younger, there's a mistake that you made, or someone gave you some lessons that you just really were not ready or mature enough to learn from at the time? Is there any sort of things that you've learned from lessons like that, mistakes or lessons given but not taken advantage of?
sorry, I was plugging in my phone here, but I heard your question. Yes, there's a lot of lessons that I learned. Money that comes easy goes easy, but later on in life, it might not come as easy. So if you are fortuitous early on, don't take it for granted if you can, and try to think of your future self, because I've made a lot of mistakes in that
That's a
regard.
great lesson. That's a
Yeah.
great lesson.
Yeah. So,
Unfortunate to learn it, but it's it's still a great
yeah, and
lesson to learn from.
I had to learn it more than one time too. It didn't take. I didn't learn my lesson the first time, and then also don't loan money. Uh, I've lent out money before when I had lots of extra money, and no one paid me back.
I think I saw one of your tweets. Someone tweeted you, "Hey Peter, will you pay my rent?"
Yeah, somebody messaged me that the other day, and it's like I'll give money away to people to do to grow my social media pages as people
Yeah.
participate in my contests and that sort of thing. And I do some. I've been involved in some sort of philanthropy, but I have random people asking me to pay their rent. Doesn't come across well, especially I paid somebody's rent back in 2017 when I had a lot of extra money, and that person told me, "Oh, when I'm back on my dad's trust fund, I'll pay you back tenfold." And that person ghosted me, and I never heard from him again. And I loaned somebody else that I fell for his scheme. He said he was I ended up shoveling him tons of Bitcoin and never got a dime back
That
from
leads
him.
into my next question about character, Peter. Where do you
Yeah.
see character in people's career, or how you experienced it, how you are experiencing it, character in the career, and how important is that?
Character is probably one of the most important aspects, and if you're speaking in terms of integrity and that sort of thing, because building relationships is an important part of any business, and in this business, the PPE business, like you can have the NCNDAs and NDAs and whatever to protect yourself legally, but being able to have find people of good character that you can trust and shake hands with, and that aren't going to go behind your back and that sort of thing, it's difficult to find, but having good character where somebody will give you their trust and they'll trust you, and finding people that you can also trust likewise is difficult, and a lot of that comes to character, having character yourself, and being able to identify it in other people. And that can be really difficult, especially identifying it in other people, because there's a it's a big world, and not everybody has your best intentions at heart. And I've been naive to that, because I've been generous to a lot of people in the past, and overly trusting of a lot of people and in my life, and
Learn
I've
the
been,
hard way.
yeah, learned the hard way. So
But it's one of those things you learn the hard way, but you still want to be caring and kind and still hope that.
Yeah, of course, you don't want to give up on those values, and you don't want to lose hope on people, and you want to, you got to at least you got to believe in the possibility that people are a person that you meet as benevolent and good, well-intending, and all that sort of stuff. You don't want to write people off when you first meet them, but you also have to keep your guard up on a degree and be vigilant, because there are people out there that unfortunately in life aren't going to have your best intentions at heart, especially in the business world, unfortunately. And for them, I think a lot of people that do business that way, they would be more successful if they didn't do business that way, and that having good character is a much better way, where you can build a reputation of trust and integrity and keeping your word and that sort of thing, is more valuable than pulling one over on somebody and that sort of thing. So
speaking of success, Peter, many people who are successful have goals. They have a purpose. They have a mission. Is there an overarching goal that you have, or maybe some smaller goals that you have that you'd like to share?
I mean, yeah, there's a variety of goals. I would like to one day have a vacation home on the island of Majorca, Spain is one goal. I would like to see Verge Currency, the cryptocurrency I promote, be a mainstream household name, and I would like to see the mainstream mass adoption of cryptocurrency. That's a goal, not so much a personal, but a general goal.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a few goals there, and personal goal is to just travel more. Travel, I get a lot of fulfillment, a lot of satisfaction out of traveling, so that's something I want to do more of. And so there's some goals, and following through on. I got a lot of business ideas that I've initiated, but I haven't followed through on, and so those are goals are to follow through on those. But you got to pick one at a time to focus on. And that's one word of advice to people out there that think similarly to me, that might have a million ideas. Then they might have multiple good ideas. You got to pick one at a time to focus on if you want to be
Successful.
Successful at it.
You mentioned your health a couple of times.
Go
ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, until you have enough money to be able to delegate and have people that you can trust, that then you could do your multiple ideas at once. But baby steps. But yeah.
They're good goals. I mean, and the importance of having goals too is the reason why I asked the question, because many people don't have a goal. And for you to have an island off the coast of Spain is a great goal.
Not the whole island, just a nice place on that island.
Place on it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a great goal to have, because it's not, okay, I want to have a basement apartment in my parents' house. Right? It's something higher, something it's going to take you through a lot of learning curves, and you're going to develop a lot of things along the way. So I think it's good for people to listen who may not have some goals, to start figuring some big overarching ones, some small ones, some ones once they're in place. These other things are going to happen, like you said, by having other people to help delegate for you.
Yeah.
It's all connects.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Yeah.
and those are our overarching kind of highfalutin sort of things. But as I just mentioned that you had said a couple times about your health, what is it maybe, and this is maybe not even it, what adversity have you faced in life, Peter?
Well, I just found out around this time, a little earlier than this time last year, that I have AIDS. I was a late diagnosis, AIDS, full blown AIDS. And for those out there who don't know the difference between just HIV and AIDS, AIDS is determined when your CD4 count drops below 200. And CD4 cells are a type of white blood cell that are vital to the body's immune system to fight off bacteria, viruses, fungus, whatever. And your body is considered immune deficient if you have less than 200 CD4 cells. The average human has between 750 and 2,000 CD4 cells. And I found out last year that I had HIV. Then a few days later, I found out that I had full-blown AIDS. And I had 5 CD4 cells at that time. My most recent blood work from a month ago, I was at 180 CD4, so I'm making a very good recovery. And then diagnosis, I had a viral count of over 800,000 copies of the virus per milliliter of blood, and now it's below 20 copies of the virus per milliliter of blood. And undetectable is considered below 50 per milliliter of blood. So I reacted really well to the medication. I've also been taking a lot of steps to, supplement and do things to recover.
And that's why you're staying with your parents at this time because of.
That's why I'm here at this time. And it is mostly for their own sanity. If it was up to me, I would have, I had a job offer in Kansas the other month, and I would have been out there and I would put on the
keeping you close.
Yeah, I would have gone out there even on an Amtrak on the face mask, but I would drive my family and my girlfriend crazy because they'd worry about me because I was in my prognosis this time last year was uncertain, and I was hospitalized for a while. And prior to being hospitalized, I was the night before I was shivering and shaking and simultaneously had a fever of 106.9, and above 107 fever can be life-threatening. And some AIDS patients that are diagnosed, a lot of AIDS patients are diagnosed above 100 CD4 count, and some AIDS patients that are diagnosed in the low CD4 ranges and high viral count ranges end up not regaining their CD4s as quickly, and some don't react well to the medication at all, and they don't the virus doesn't necessarily go away so much. And I was in a very precarious situation last year, and it was debilitating. And I continued to work. I have pictures of me from the hospital when I was promoting my domain name stuff. And I was trying to work on my stuff from the hospital. I was registering domain names to the hospital bed. But at the same time, it was a difficult experience. There was I had when I first got on the medications, I had full body hives. I had all these allergic reactions. I had liver toxicity due to the Bactrim. I was on 5 different medications to start out with, and I had lactic acidosis for a little bit, where I had severe muscle cramping and muscle weakness. And there was a while where I was basically bedridden, and there was a few days where I couldn't walk up more than 2 or 3 steps no matter how hard I tried. It was, and now just the other day I was on the Base Guy show with Frankie and Dylan, and I sprinted down the beach walk to show them.
I watched that show. Actually, that was the first time I saw you. Yes.
So I'm getting back
with no shoes too.
Yeah.
Just running down.
And this time last year, seriously, just speaking, I wouldn't have been able to speak for this long. I'd lose energy just from talking. I was like, God, my health bar was at 1% health. I felt like it was a very difficult experience, but I continue to try to work throughout it. But it has been a blessing to have recovered as much as I have had, and I am back to nearly normal levels of in terms of my abilities for uh, uh, in general.
living
So
living living a normal life. I mean, I
yeah.
saw you on the Base Guy show, and then I connected with you, and I saw you on the Base Guy show, and I was like, as I think you coined it, like a man of many hats. You were going through some of the things that you're doing, I think, near the end of the show, and I was like, oh, I'd like to talk to him. Like, I wanted to talk to you. And then I messaged you, and then you said, well, can we do it at a certain time, because I got to eat. My mom wants me to eat well because I have AIDS. And I'm like, well, I didn't know that. That's not why I want you on the show. And then now talking to you for the last little bit or whatever, you're an inspiration to people. And if anyone, you can't take anything from this, is through the whole hour and a half we've been talking, you're not throwing one excuse out, right? You're not throwing blame, you're not throwing anything out there. It's, I'm on a mission, I have goals, and I have an aspiration, and I'm going to pursue my passion. Even though a year ago I was on a mountain, now I'm going to get back up there again. Like, it's truly motivational of what you represent.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And yep, never give up is my attitude. And and I've had a lot of ups and downs financially and trying to get to where I want to be. And I made a lot of mistakes and learned a lot along the way. And right during the time when I was diagnosed, I was working doing Pizza Hut delivery driver as a part-time job because the things didn't pan out for, I worked at Data Block IO, which was a data storage blockchain startup at the beginning of the year, which didn't pan out. I thought I was going to be getting paid like $10,000 a week. That didn't happen. And then the year prior, I started up in 2018 a cryptocurrency mining facility in Elyria, Ohio. We had 200 mining rigs set up, all ready to go, but the Bitcoin markets didn't cooperate, and our electricity prices were too high. That was like a full $300,000 plus loss. So right before my diagnosis, I was working at Pizza Hut as a delivery driver, and I just started that job for a few months. And even after my diagnosis, I continued for a few days until I literally just physically couldn't.
Yeah.
And now knowing as much as we do about COVID and about the immune system and stuff, like I should have been wearing a mask and I should have been distancing and all that sort of stuff because my immune system was so weak then that I ended up being hospitalized, and they didn't identify exactly what it was, just like a sinus infection that caused my hospitalization when my CD4 was like 27. So, and that was, it was like I was in a pretty difficult condition there. But anyway,
Peter,
long story short,
I have a couple of questions remaining, and the last one about encouragement or adding anything else to thinking of listeners. And usually I don't say it this way, but over the last week, it's coming up to Christmas. As I mentioned 3 times now that my mom passed away in February. My mom's really big on Christmas, more so when I was a kid and when I was in Canada, but she's gone nonetheless. We lost our mother-in-law, a grandmother-in-law. We lost my wife's sister, so my sister-in-law. I lost my job a few weeks ago, but then regained it somehow. They decided not to fire us or something along those lines. And I was in a funk, right? I was in a
yeah.
funk for the last week or so. I mean, I was exercising well, and then I'm just like, whatever. And I'm a drop in the bucket compared to some of the horrible things people are experiencing, some of the things people feel. But the idea of work is tough, work is good, we have to work. I mean, some people can't, I'm not referring to them, but the idea of there's people out there who have it pretty rough and may need some sort of encouragement. Do you have something for them?
Yeah, just to never give up and to believe in yourself. And regardless of your background or current situation or current struggles that might seem like it's impossible for you to overcome emotionally or mentally, that you can, and have faith in yourself that you can, and continue to persist. And everyone, there's struggles that some people have, and don't try to compare yours to another person's. That's not helpful. And there's always somebody that has more difficult experiences. And that's one of the blessings that I had from my travels growing up. I've visited all sorts of places, including Mozambique, for example, which is the 5th most impoverished country on the planet that just finished their civil war, or own civil war in the 1990s, and now has more instability there now in the north. And I visited shanty towns outside of Cape Town in South Africa, and shanty towns in China and different places. And I've seen the way people are living in different parts of the world. I saw, and this was before I knew I had HIV, and I probably already had HIV by then, but while I was in South Africa, there was a AIDS clinic that we went to, and they kicked us out while we were doing the tour because it turned out that people there had embezzled the money and didn't use it to build a certain new nursing wing. And there was people just lying out in the grass, dying, and not because they weren't getting the care they needed. And so I've seen, and there's out there, that was in Transkei, South Africa, which is like, it sort of has its own tribal sovereignty, Transkei, South Africa. And but there's I saw kids out there that were playing soccer, and I remember that they had an HIV testing tent next to there. I wish I would have got myself tested then and found out, but there was kids playing soccer. Some of the kids on one of the teams didn't have shoes, and they were playing soccer against this other team, and there was rocks and stuff too. It was not like but I mean, people drinking unclean water and stuff. I've seen it with my own eyes, so I don't take what I have here for granted. So especially everyone listening that's here in the United States, whatever the situation you may be in may be difficult, but whatever you do have, don't take it for granted, even if it's just being alive. And if you're at a low point, then if you hit your bottom, then you can only go up from there. So
yeah, as you said a few times, count your blessings, right? Or it's a blessing. Count your blessings one-on-one.
Yeah, and I've been it's been a blessing for me to see the way that some of the struggles that other people have to go through, because I know that even I have a great support system, and I'm very blessed. So I'm not here to pity myself or bemoan my whatever challenges, because it's like, I know it's important to stay in the attitude of gratitude for what you do have, and or the experiences that you have had, and to not focus on the negativity and focus on positive what ifs, not negative what ifs.
Well, I can concur to that with you, with your character. Your character, Peter, because I was the one that asked you prior to recording, could I mention about your health condition? You didn't ask me to mention it or not. So you weren't even, thinking of divulging it. You just wanted to interview about why we work. So I think that speaks of your character of not wanting to bemoan your own woes.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, but yeah, I've been public about talking about that. I've done a vlog that I need to catch up on, talking about AIDS, and so I don't know. I feel comfortable talking about it, and I don't mind talking about it.
Well, I appreciate the advice.
I appreciate you asking me first before the interview, yeah. So.
Well, we all need encouragement in our work, right? Work is good, but it's not easy. And even the best of us who have an attitude of gratitude, there's some days that, just like the markets, right? Just like Bitcoin, they ebb and flow. One's on a high and then you're on a low, with, family or friends or just work itself. And
with everybody. Yeah.
It goes up and down. Peter,
absolutely.
How can people reach you? What are some of your handles again?
On Twitter right now, as long as this one stays up, at Domains VVS. And on if you just search on YouTube XVG Whale, and then on LinkedIn, Peter Galanko, Galanko. And so that's where you can find me right now. And yeah, and there was a few things that I wanted to mention in this interview that I didn't get to.
Go ahead. I have another question. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about XVG, the cryptocurrency project that I've been working on, just to highlight some of
Go ahead.
the
Yeah.
news that just recently, one of their XVG, unlike some of the newer coins, is one of the first 100 cryptocurrencies ever created, and now there's probably like 5,000 different ones exchanged out there outside of Bitcoin, and a lot of them started with
Sorry, what
pre-mined.
does XVG stand for?
That's the symbol for Verge Currency. That's just
Okay.
what it's traded as on exchanges.
Yeah.
Verge Currency is its full name. VergeCurrency.com is its website. And then VergeCurrency.business is now where they just launched a new NFC tap to pay integration into their app. And the thing about this cryptocurrency is it's fully supported by volunteers, and it's an open source technology, meaning that it was not created by a company. It was just created by one passionate developer it started with, who created it back in 2014. And then since then, a lot of people joined the community, and some people joined the core team and put in their own time and effort to create. They created a beautiful iOS wallet. And there's been many integrations since then. Now you can, since I first got into it in 2000, when I first got into it in 2017, one of the only things you could buy with it online was this Pex Peppers hot sauce. And now you can go on Excel Trip, this platform called Excel Trip, and you can book flights and hotels and pay with XVG. And there's a Crypto Emporium. By the way, my coupon code is XVGWellRef. On there you can save a little bit. They sell everything from real estate to gold bars to watches and electronics and phones, and you can pay with XVG on there. They even have there's a private island on there for sale in their real estate section. They have cars and then in the past year, the Manny Pacquiao Foundation integrated it as a way to donate to their organization. And if you go to their homepage still right now, right on the homepage, if you click, they'll say donate with digital currency is one of the options on the homepage. And the first selection on there is Verge Currency to donate with. And you can send a transaction in seconds halfway around the world and donate to that cause with this cryptocurrency.
Manny Pacquiao, the boxer, for anyone. Yes.
Manny Pacquiao, the boxer, yes.
Manny, yeah.
And there's been a lot of different integrations. And I just placed an order today from a young man out in Canada who's a dirt bike rider, Danny Robertson. And he has this brand MX for Life, and I bought a hat from him, and I bought some gifts for somebody using Verge Currency to pay for that. And I've been talking to Frankie's all about getting his bobbleheads and merchandise for sale with cryptocurrency, and I've been trying to get a hold of Crypto Emporium to do that and find some other routes to do that because he was getting some traction in the cryptocurrency community. But that's not an option right now, but might be in the future. But anyway, there's been all sorts of cool developments for the Verge Currency core team, and it had a very drastic, volatile year in 2017, and a lot of people forgot about it after mid-2018. But there's been a lot of foundations that have been developed since then, and integrations, and that the community has stayed strong. And the core team has made a lot of steps forward. Since then, the iOS wallet has been released, which is a very sleek, one of the best wallets. I would say the best wallet for any proof of work, independent, volunteer-based cryptocurrency. And if people really want to get into it and research it, there's a difference. There's coins out there that start as ICOs and have a pre-mine where it's made by a company, and the company sells coins for a profit at the start. And it's run like a business, and this one wasn't like that. It was started similarly to Bitcoin, where the people mining it are the people that are the way it's just as the coin is distributed, and there was no pre-mine, there was no corporate backing, and there's no direct profit motive for the developers and the volunteers that work on the core team.
So yeah, I was thinking as you were saying this, I was thinking of what are the qualifications that you have in your mind as you're picking a coin, and obviously Verge would be ideal in this situation.
Verge is is in my opinion my favorite currency, and that's the only one I stay invested in. Bitcoin right now, earlier today, it hit $21,000, but it costs $3.60 to send a transaction on the Bitcoin network. So I don't see it as a viable option for an everyday alternative digital currency. And it's slow. If you pay a lower fee, your transaction can get held up for hours before it's confirmed. So it's slow. And that's why I like XVG. It has 30-second block times. And there's been big debates about how to update Bitcoin or whatever and other solutions. And SegWit in 2017 was added a little bit of a to their transaction capacity and whatnot. And then Roger Ver split off Bitcoin into Bitcoin Cash and made his own thing where he expanded the block size. But I think for those who understand what I'm talking about, I think Verge Currency is the perfect combination of, it has 30-second block times while Bitcoin's block time is 10 minutes. And that allows for very fast transactions.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has a much higher transaction capacity, and it has a flat fee right now of 0.1 XVG, and its circulating supply is it's like 18 billion, and it's near its circulating supply. So there's almost all the coins that will ever be circulated already are out there. So it's not a continually inflationary thing, and is one of the first 100 established fast transactions. It does give users the choice of privacy. In the iOS app, you can toggle on and off your location, whether your IP address is or a different IP address is displayed with your transaction is your choice. They already had QR code scanning, and I'm not sure if it's I know in China that everyone uses WeChat with the QR codes to pay. I'm not sure if they use it so much in South Korea for QR code payments. If QR codes are as much,
it's common. It's common.
Yeah, but they already had a QR code payment in the Verge Currency app as is, so you can scan or upload a QR code, and the QR code can have also the amount to send in it as well. And so anyway, there's been a lot of updates, major integrations. PaySent, NetSense, which is a Canadian-based company, it can provide same-day settlements to U.S. dollar, HCH bank transfer. You can accept Verge Currency on your website and have, if you choose, you can just receive it in XVG, or you can have it converted into U.S. dollars at a very low fee, competitive with what credit card companies charge for transaction fees. And you can have a same-day settlement to your bank account and accept Verge Currency payments directly with NetSense HQ. And
have you reached out? Have you reached out to Verge themselves to?
Oh yeah. I was at the Verge Currency meetup in the Netherlands in 2018. I was at this is a shirt from the 2018 meetup. I was wearing the shirt earlier. I lost it I didn't lose it, somewhere around the house, but I was wearing the shirt earlier from the 2019 meetup that was in Rotterdam. Mm-hmm. The first one was in Amsterdam. And anyway, so I met all the team members there, and was sort of a VIP at both of those events because I'm pretty well known for that cryptocurrency. If people search one of my early interviews on the Larry and Joe show, XVG will come up from back in 2013. But yeah, even before that, I met the developer back in 2017 at the end of December. It was in December. I met the developer who goes by Justin Vendetta on the internet, or Stoner Justin, and I met him in person near in Florida there at the end of 2017 before the 2018 Verge Currency meetup where he was there, and he was at the one in 2019 as well. And I've met a lot of the core team members, and I'm not on the core team, but I communicate with them some. And like Verge Canada, Mark, I chat with sometimes. So I was telling him about the Frankie stuff and this and that. And but anyway, there's been a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of people are talking about Bitcoin lately because it has new all-time highs. But there's a lot of merits to other cryptocurrencies out there, and for one, the fast transactions, low fees, it has a high number of coins in circulation, which isn't a bad thing because it has a flat fee set at 0.1 XVG per transaction, which equates to less than half a penny per transaction, whether you're sending $1 or $1 million. So I think it's a very scalable option as a cryptocurrency that's truly decentralized. And the other week, my buddy Michael, who's doing SEO, he looked at the Verge Currency website and he said, "Oh, their server time is a little bit slow. They could have better SEO if they use a faster server." And then I messaged that to one of the core team members, and he responded to me. He's like, "Oh, that's because we use GitHub, like their open source web hosting or whatever, and we're not going to switch it because that's part of our open source values. And GitHub is like a thing for developers where people share code and work together on open source projects. So they're very true to their
mission,
their roots, their mission. Yeah, and that is really what the early cryptocurrency world has. It was a smaller community with the other coins outside of Bitcoin when I first got into the cryptocurrency Twitter in mid 2017. But some of those the original ideals about Bitcoin being a decentralized platform where people can be their own bank and not rely on a third party, and it has an auditable blockchain with the proof of work proofs of the transactions and all that sort of stuff. And I think that Verge Currency is a great alternative, and that Bitcoin has the namesake and will continue to grow because of its slow transactions and high fees. Though I think it's bloated, and there's room and reason and merit for other cryptocurrencies to exist, like Verge, XVG, and after my account hack and then some other drama, there was that eclipsed some of the merits of the Verge Currency's work. I think there's a lot that the rest of the cryptocurrency community needs to catch up on, because Verge Currency core team has been working hard, and I think it will make a strong comeback in regards to the rest of the cryptocurrencies. But still, it has stayed and averaged among the top 100 cryptocurrencies for the past almost 3 years now in terms of trade volume and market cap, and now there's like 5,000 different cryptocurrencies out there. So that's a big deal, and it's one of the first 100. And in 2017, its percentage gain increase was like a nearly 2 million% increase from the beginning of the year, from its low to its peak, which is, from a year-to-date standpoint, a record among all cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin has had higher market cap increases, but never a higher percentage gain increase in a year than Verge Currency has. And I've never seen any other cryptocurrency or even any stock or commodity that has had a higher percentage gain than XVG had in 2017. So XVG holds that record there for that. And I would like to see sustainable growth from where we're at now. We've retraced back down 99% in price from where its peak was then. And it's like a 1/3 of a penny right now for one, and it was peaked at 25 cents at the end of 2017. But I think that it has great potential. Yeah, going forward.
You're truly an ambassador for Verge.
Yes, I am an ambassador that sort of a self-appointed ambassador that no one necessarily asked for, and I helped popularize it in the beginning of the mid 2017, and that's part of why I like to stay relevant to it because and stay involved in that space because that is something I'm proud of helping grow that. Community and shine a light on that project and early on when few people knew about it and knew what it was about. And one of the other things is it runs on 5 algorithms, mining algorithms. Bitcoin runs on one algorithm, the SHA-256 algorithm. Litecoin runs on one algorithm, the script algorithm. Verge runs on all those algorithms and 3 other ones. So there's different ways you can mine it with GPU processors, different types of computer processors, and it has technical merits to it that I think are really important for the future and scalability of the cryptocurrency if it is used. And they've built the foundation for. They have the QR code scan payments, and just today and yesterday they announced these stickers for NFC stickers that vendors can use for tap to pay for on new phones. You can just tap your phone and it'll just pop up and you can just make your payment instantly there. And so I think there's a lot of merit to it, and there's a lot of integration. It's near its full circulation supply, and it's early established, and it stays true to its volunteer community-based sort of ideals, which was what originally Bitcoin was all about and its ideals. But I think the Bitcoin network is just too bloated to be a true alternative currency type of deal.
There has to be something said for you to not be part of Verge while investing yourself, but to be a proponent, a fan, right? The ambassador that you are. So I'll even check it out, right? Like for people listening, check out Verge because Peter says so. Yeah. And Peter doesn't have, you're not invested in it in the sense that you're part of the company. You're invested in it because you believe in it.
And it's not a company. There's no company. Yeah. There's no Verge Currency LLC or corporation. I think maybe Justin got some. I don't know if he got some trademarks on some stuff, but otherwise it's just a software, and it's not necessarily owned by anyone besides the people that own the coins individually and the volunteers that decide to help with the project. And help,
was there anything else, Peter, that you wanted to talk about? You said you had a couple of things, but is there anything else you wanted to
I wanted to highlight some of those recent Verge Currency updates. I'm sure there's many that I'm forgetting, and I encourage people to check out the core team accounts and Medium articles in the Verge Currency website and the vergecurrency.business to see the integrations that they've done through the NetSense HQ. There's even integrations where it can be compatible with old school swipe credit card point of sale machines where you can incorporate cryptocurrency payments into those and pay with cryptocurrency into those. So it has the foundation to be used on a wide scale. It just needs to continue to get out there, and I think it will. So, but anyway.
You truly are an ambassador.
Yeah, and there was a story I was going to tell earlier about one of the reasons that there is merit, in some cases need, for cryptocurrency blockchain technology. When I was out in Hong Kong, I went to Hong Kong and Shenzhen 3 times in 2017 and 2018. Between the 2 years, I was there 3 times, and I was doing some buying and selling of mining rigs while I was out there. And the supplier for the mining rigs, his personal China bank account, he had a limit of $50,000 per year for international transactions. And with a business, with most of that being revenue and not profit, that's not a lot for him. And they have restrictions where they have difficulties using PayPal there, that sort of thing. And I know a way to get cryptocurrency converted through a place in Hong Kong to RMB bank deposit. So for us, it was easier to get the money to them in time than an international bank transfer, and faster to do so with cryptocurrency than it was with traditional fiat currency. And sometimes bank transfers, especially international bank transfers, can take multiple days. And then there's the banking holidays and that sort of thing. And those are limits that cryptocurrency doesn't have. So
yeah, more reasons why cryptocurrency is certainly the way of the future, if not now.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to continue to be a facet, an increasingly important facet of the global economy,
I mean, it's
especially in
not,
the digital age.
I thought this earlier, it's not like we carry a lot of money in our pockets anymore, right? And very rarely do we see the money transacting. It's just something we see
Yeah,
numbers in our
well,
bank account. So it's not a far cry from cryptocurrency, or it hasn't been a far cry for a long time.
yeah. And if you look into it, the banks don't actually have, it's mostly is just numbers on a screen. They don't have that much paper cash on hand because of the fractional reserve system. I forget what percentage it is. It's like 13% or 3% of the money on the books that is reflected on everybody's bank accounts in the United States is actually there in paper currency. If everybody went on the same day and asked for
Send
cash
money back.
withdrawal, the cash wouldn't be there because they have all these there's a chart that shows it all, and I forgot the word. I'm slipping now.
It would
I
be like
forgot
the
the word.
movie It's a Wonderful Life, when they all came in looking for their money and they had to close down the bank.
Yeah. So it's and that's the difference, is that there's on blockchain you can see that it's there and that's yours, and that's and you're in control of it, not a third party. And when you give your money to a bank, you're giving them the permission to invest it however they like, and you're giving them your money and making it theirs until you decide to withdraw it, basically. And with cryptocurrency, you're being your own bank, and I think
My
that
my
gives people a level of
7-year-old son,
independence.
my 7-year-old son asked me the other day, and he goes, "Papa, how do banks make money?" He said, "Well, we give them our money and then they invest it." So
Yeah, they invest it and they reload it, and then and it becomes where they loan it to one person, then the person deposits that in another bank, and there is interest owed back on that original money, and the amount of debt that is total exceeds the amount of money that's in circulation. And it's a system that can only be fed by more inflation of the original currency.
and then we're paying bank fees on the money we're lending them, or letting them hold to lend.
Yeah. Yep. I have my End of Fed shirt there, Defraud America, since 1913. And I got that in high school before I even was into cryptocurrency.
Nice.
And I am in that establishment. The Federal Reserve has only been around for just over 100 years. So things can change quickly. And I think it's federal in name, but the stockholders, there are stockholders of the Federal Reserve, which are the only people that are allowed to get the Federal Reserve rate loans of new money printed, basically. And those stockholders include foreign banks, like British banks and whatnot, own the Federal Reserve, and it's a pseudo federal agency. Its chairman is assigned by the federal government, but it is operated in many ways like a private company, and has shareholders, and a lot of people don't know that. And so I think if you go down the rabbit hole, there's a lot to it, and I think that there's a lot of merits to alternative solutions. And I think that cryptocurrency is a true safety net, because if there is a disaster, 2020 was a difficult year, but if there was even the worst disaster, an asteroid or a huge volcano or something, and there's huge amount of government spending in a short period of time, and there's a hyperinflation situation in first world countries, there's not the risk of hyperinflation, regardless of who's in control of your government spending with cryptocurrency. So,
well, Peter, I have one final question for you.
Go for it.
And that is, why do you work?
Why do I work? I work so I can buy more XVG.
Ambassador to the end.
Yeah, ambassador to the end, and I
to
work
the moon is what they say, right?
And I work to be independent because I seek independence and freedom are values that I hold dearly, and I think working toward the goals can help you realize your ambitions and get you to where you want to be, and it's just part of the realities that we live in is that money is part of it and working is how you get money. So to have that independence and freedom, I gotta work, and but XVG is what I put my money in when I make it, when I'm working.
Is that what they say? To the moon, isn't it?
Yeah.
XVG
to the moon. To the moon.
To the moon. Peter Galanko, the influencer of influencers. I thank you for your time. It has been great. You have taught me a lot, and I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I'm going to blast your this interview all over, and hope to bring some new listeners to your radio show, because I think you have a lot of awesome interviews in there. Some I need to catch up on still. I've been going through some of your old content. I'm going to catch up on the rest of them, and it sounds like especially for people looking to get into the workforce and looking for new ideas and inspiration, your channel is full of it. So I think yeah, you're providing something of value to the world. And
Peter Galanko,
spread it with more people.
Ambassador, the ambassador to Verge XVG. Thank you, kind sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.